At its core, art piques curiosities, but what about the artists themselves? What are their stories?
We did the first screening last week, and surprisingly, we had a 400 plus turnout. The momentum was going. I was on such a high, crossing paths with all these friends and family members and creative people that I've met throughout, my life here in Houston. And it didn't really soak in until it was all over, but we did 2 screenings, and it was interesting, seeing it finally on a big screen and hearing all the reactions from the crowd and absorbing that, and then having a standing ovation. I even stood up with the crowd and was clapping.
Art in all its mediums have the ability to move and transform people. At its core, art piques curiosities and makes you wonder the whats, the whys, and the stories behind them. But what about the artists themselves? What are they like?
It all started with me just browsing the web one day, looking at DJ Screw images. Just one night looking at photos, and this same series of photos appeared where it was the same, environment, the same t-shirt, so I knew it was like from the same series, same photo shoot. And I was curious who the photographer was behind these images, so I did some research and discovered Ben DeSoto's name attached to it, to an article that came out in 1995 in Rap Pages. It was a rap hip-hop magazine at the time. So it gave him credit, and I just started digging, found his contact, pitched an idea to him about just doing like a small interview commemorating the 20-year anniversary of these photos. This was back in 2014, so I figured my team and I could put something together and just release it on social media, just kind of acknowledging the photographer. So I got a hold of Ben, and he was about it, and we were just going to share that story, that time that he had during the photo shoot with DJ Screw. And we just really got close. Ben just kind of led us into his world, and he showed us archives of his photos that have never been seen. He's a great storyteller. He just rambles on. And my partner and I were just like, you know what, maybe we should kind of extend this and make it a little bit bigger, because he has so much more to share than just on this specific concentration of the DJ Screw photos. So that's kind of how things started, and then it blossomed. And over the past 4 years, we got a couple interviews with him, and a lot of just research with where his photos were at, where they were archived at, and just rolling it all up in a bundle and making it happen.
We gonna show the whole world how we do it down south.
When Screw agreed to have a professional photo shoot on location for the Rap Pages article, Ben was there for the honor.
We really wanted to just kind of advocate for him, because we felt like he has, extremely in-depth archive of photos that there's no reason he shouldn't be up there with like a Ricky Powell or Glenn Friedman, other photographers around the world that captured these moments in time. So we felt that it was important that his story was told, that he was allowed to share it. And I really wanted to go into it, not me sitting down doing a Q&A and him answering, but capturing it in a way that we could, put all these sequences together to allow it to like really resonate with the viewer. And it just worked out. I mean, we were just lucky that the turn of events and all the footage we had, and years, time and time of editing and taking out parts and getting, feedback from friends and fresh set of eyes to, not be biased and giving us feedback that they like it because it's us. So it was a big learning experience. I've learned so much about it, and you got to really have the patience to do it right. As an artist, you're your worst critic, so a lot of times you're never satisfied with your own work. As a photojournalist, he also saw a lot of dark things as well, crime and addiction and homelessness. And he really connected with like the homeless community, a couple individuals that let him into his world. And he really got touched by it, and has continued to try to be an advocate for the homeless, issues that we have across the country. And then also like, the mental illness aspect, I didn't realize, people that work in fields like, emergency responders, firefighters, photographers, that see a lot of dark things too. They can experience traumatic, post-traumatic, experience as well from seeing all that. You can only bury so much. So it was interesting just how much he opened us up to us, and then growing as a man, and health issues, questioning if he's getting early dementia and Alzheimer's, and the, family health issues kind of rolling over. So it really kind of touches on a lot of different elements, but not too much to kind of, lose your interest. So I was really impressed by him just allowing us into his world.
Humans and images both tell stories that document a time and space that only they can share. Once those individuals leave, their stories go with them.
You see these photos of James Brown at Fitzgerald's, and I'm like, wow, I had no idea that James Brown played at Fitzgerald's. Fitzgerald's is knocked down, it's not even there anymore. But myself as a DJ in 96, 97, I used to have a weekly residency there with some other DJs that we had a hip hop night. And I had no idea of the people that had blessed that stage, and that was the same stage that I got to play on. So things like that, stories of these different artists, stories of, the Beastie Boys being on tour with Madonna, the Like a Virgin tour. They were booed in certain states, and they didn't really have the whole stage show like they do now. So hearing stories of bands playing it at smaller venues before they became these global pop sensations, that was really interesting. And even like the rap, the early rap artists that were coming out of Houston, specifically the Ghetto Boys. It was interesting hearing him talk about that they let him into this world to get close and personal with him, and just that breakthrough in Houston rap at the time, that he was there as it was being expanding and spreading throughout the country. So just those personal stories, I don't know what it is, I just love hearing certain stories like that really resonate with me, and the connection to Houston, the Houston pride.
Scarface pulls out the pistol, puts it like this. I'm sitting going, ho, click, 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 3 frames off. This is the middle frame. It's life in the big city.
If you're from here, if you're born and raised here, there's really a strong sense of pride, whether it's with sports, whether it's with culture, art. You've really seen it grow. I think of the suburban sprawl, like even my parents moving us out to the suburbs, like away from the city. I didn't really realize what was going on at the time with politics and economics, and the inner city, like not really having any development. You have these vacant properties, and then to see it all come back. Now people want to move back to the city, to see all these pockets of culture that were kind of wiped out, gentrified, cleaned up. Like, it's taken place in every city. But I think at the end of the day, there's just a strong sense of pride. Anybody that I've brought to Houston or knows that I'm from Houston and gets to come down and experience that, they all have that in common. They all say that people from Houston love Houston.
Porter said, there's this newfangled music playing at this club called punk. And as I entered into the front door, it just got louder and louder, banging on instruments. There was a beautiful energy there that I fell in love with immediately.
I didn't really understand the process of developing film in the black room, that whole, chemical composition, whatever they're doing. I didn't understand that. And then to see Ben do that, and then to share with us the techniques that he was using and having a name for it, and then looking at Andrew and being like, what, these are all preset filters that at that time you have to do manually. If you develop film, you tweak it out with the shadowing and the burning, and it's just another level of things that I was totally unaware of. And then kind of just connecting the dots and seeing how manual film, transitioned to digital film, and how everything's become so technically savvy, and it's that art is it's all presets now. If viewers that are from Houston are watching it, they're gonna instantly connect. If they're not a Houstonian, I think they'll connect because the images, the early, the punk rock scene, people that grew up during that time, they're gonna be touched by it. People that were fans of pop music, they're gonna relate to it. There's gonna be one image at least in the documentary that you can connect with. But to ride this journey with Ben, and for him to share, his experiences while he was a photojournalist, you're gonna like his quirkiness. You're gonna want to hear more. He just kind of has that drawn effect where he's gonna pull you in, and he's gonna make you laugh, and he might make you get a little emotional. But I think it resonates well. I think, you know, being only 33 minutes long, some of the feedback's been, you know, they wish it was longer. They wish there was more that they could hear from him. But I think that's a positive thing because it's going to make you want to know more. And then you can go do your own, you know, research and try to find out what's going on and learn more about him. But, you know, hopefully, I think the big picture is to just really like put his legacy stamp on Houston, that if you're going to remember a photographer, you got to know about Ben DeSoto. Like, that should be the first photographer that pops up when you Google search for, you know, legendary Houston photographers.